This is Carola DeVille, and you're watching Inkwife TV. I'm having a little bit of problem saying some syllables because I have braces on. It sounded sort of like not TV. I guess I have to overemphasize that. Anyway, back to the video. One of the bigger challenges for tattoo artists is their line work. And, it probably took me about 5 years of tattooing before I was able to not panic before every major straight or circular piece of line work that I had to do. So I thought for today, for this video, I had to do a tarot card, and it is all just straight up line work. So I thought I'd show you guys how the tattoo went and give you some of the tips and tricks that I use and explain part of my method to you. So as you can see, we've already shaved, prepared the area, applied the stencil, which wonderfully went on perfect the first time. And then I sped up the work a little bit, but now I'm going in real time. So when I'm trying to pull perfect line work, I turn my machine way down low, probably to around 5 or 6 volts. Typically, I run my machine a lot lower than many artists that I'm familiar with. But when I'm trying to do this sort of perfect thing, I want to keep my machine very, very low. So again, about 5 or 6 volts. The reason for this is because I don't want to drag and just create one straight line. It's too easy to get wobbles and to go too deep or too shallow. So I try to sculpt them in with a very slow machine. So I'm laying it right in the upper layers of the skin, and I can go over it 4 or 5 times and not damage the skin. That allows me to perfect any little imperfections that I have found or created along the way. Anyway, you can just see by looking here how easy it is to get one spot a little darker than the other. Some of the wobble you might be seeing is swollen skin around it. I mean, you can barely see along the edge of the line that it's raised, and that raised effect will cause it'll cause your line when you are doing it to look funny. So you have to learn through experience to recognize the difference between what the tattoo looks like right now and what it's going to look like when it's healed. Because, when I first started, I would try to overcorrect the line to make up for the swelling, and then in the long run, I've actually added something that didn't need to be there. But I feel at this point that when this line heals, it's going to look pretty smooth, and I will go along later at the end of it and at the end of the tattoo and go and touch up any areas that I feel are out of place. I'm using a 5-round liner for this. And really, it was not necessary. I switched to an 11 tight later and decided when I went into the thicker inside line, I switched to an 11 tight liner, and it worked a lot better. With the 5, I had to go, I don't know, it was just a little bit thin, I felt, and I struggled a little. Oh, something else that I would like to point out here is that you saw me working the left side of the line and across the bottom. Right in this portion of the line is really where I got my machine dialed in, and I was able to go faster. So that gives you an idea. About the first 20 or 30 minutes of a tattoo, I'm trying to figure out how my machine works on this client's particular skin. Every client is different, and Everyone's skin is a little bit different, and so and also every day for me and how I'm feeling and handling my work is a little bit different. So the first 20 or 30 minutes of my tattoo is spent fiddling with my machine, trying to figure out how it is best going to lay in to the client's skin. So we have moved forward through this, and we're now working on the thicker inner line. And as I said before, I switched to an 11 round tight liner so that I only had to lay in about two. So like I will trace along the outer edge, get that straight, and then go on along the inner edge and thicken it up. So that's really about 2 rows wide, that inner line. But by the time I was done with it, the 11 tight worked way better on his skin than the 5 round liner had. So I just decided that for 90% of the rest of the tattoo, I'm going to work with the 11 tight because it just worked way better on my client. It was a smidge thicker than I was intending, but the benefit outweighed the slightly thicker lines. So that has my whole outer edge done, and you can see what lines might have appeared wobbly before. As the skin swelling has relaxed a little bit, they've smoothed out and they look pretty good to me. For the rain, I liked to start at the bottom and draw down, and then move up above that line and draw down and meet up with the line I had just done. If you have trouble making your lines meet up, this may not be the best technique for you, but for whatever reason, I find it works very well for me, and I have no problem with my hand following a similar pattern. You know, a lot of the tattooing process is just instinctual, repetitious work. And it takes several years for you to implement those good habits and make them second nature. But ultimately, that is what your goal is to make these good habits and these good straight lines and these solid color packing skills, make them second nature, so that you don't have to think about it as much while you're tattooing, and then your creativity can just take over, and your ability to pay attention to detail and to spot the mistakes that you have made more easily, that will become way more apparent. You'll start noticing yourself seeing the subtle details that before you would have overlooked. A long time ago, I decided that no matter how boring the tattoo was, you know, like after my 50,000th infinity knot and, you know, doing 20,000 arrows and stuff, you get tired of it. So I had to do something to keep my head in the game and not let me be a very angry person, you know, every day when I'm coming to work and another mom comes in that wants the same, you know, heart and heartbeat thing and cross. Anyway, if you've got that, I'm sorry, it's pretty basic. So the thing that I did that allowed me not to go crazy is I decided every simple line work tattoo that I have to do, my goal is going to be perfection. Now, perfection is impossible, we know this, but nevertheless, it should be your goal. So I got really good at doing lines just by stopping complaining about my job and starting challenging myself with it every single day, because I really, really want to be good at my job, and you probably do too. So my first bit of advice is, don't gripe about it, just do your best. Now up here on this cloud that I am working on, I'll point out, I kind of goofed up the edge, the curve, and it kind of had a little bit of a wonky spot to it, and then I had to thicken it up a little bit, and I was like, oh crap, how do I fix this? You know, I don't want it to be the obvious thing that sticks out. So I had an idea. Let's just thicken all the edges of the clouds next to the edge of the card. So I did that. It just thickened up the edges a little bit and helped hide that little goofy spot that I made. So, you know, sometimes you got to take a Bob Ross attitude, and, you know, it's not a mistake. It's just, you know, a bird or something. I mean, I'm not being serious. You can't actually go that far. But the point is, when you see your mistake, when you see something that you did that you didn't intend to do, be honest with yourself about it, remain calm, and figure out a way to fix it or hide it. You know, don't freak out. And the more you practice that, the better you're going to get at it and the more comfortable you'll be. And the card is about done. It's just time to touch up little spots that are bothering me. I think it turned out pretty beautifully, and I really believe when it heals it ought to all be there and stay solid. Thanks for watching.